everyone. I don't know if Sir Chonk's going to end up putting together his own New Year's resolutions, but I wanted to share mine and happy 2024 and all that fun stuff. Um, so, I know it's not officially 24 yet, but I'm going to pretend it is. And these are my resolutions going into 2024. There's 10, and obviously, some are bigger than others. Some are just kind of like minor things. Some are like overarching, like life things I'm trying to do. So we'll go over them individually. They're kind of in subgroups as well. So the first one is just with my reading. I just want to keep reading the way I've been reading. I have always been a reader, but I started really getting back actively into reading right before COVID. For about a year before that, I was actually reading every day, and I would read at least one chapter, or at least I'd try to read at least a half an hour in fiction and a half an hour in nonfiction every single day. And then COVID hit, and I feel like I just spent 2 years like staring at the wall. And then I was just kind of, trying to deal with that. And then so last year, so like the summer of 2022, I was like, oh, that's right, I miss reading. And so at some point in like late July, I think it was, or early August, I picked up, going back to reading pretty frequently. And since then, I've missed days, here and there, but I haven't missed a week, since essentially the end of July of 2022. I've read every single week, generally almost every day, but, there's been some times where it's like I'd miss a day and then I'll go back and I'll read 4 and then I'd miss a day. I think I've only missed like 2 days in a row around the holidays last year, and then a couple times maybe earlier this year, just with some personal stuff happening. But I still continued to pretty much be reading at least every week. And so that's one of my goals, is to keep that up. And then I'm also really trying to, kind of set whether there are existing challenges I can find, whether, readathons. I have, hopefully, I can do other challenges I dig up on my own. I really want to try to do challenges. I mean, I have a lot going on this year for challenges. Obviously, there's a lot I'm hoping that can just do a lot of crossover so I can check off, 5 challenges with one book or something. But I do want to try to kind of stick to some of my challenges, especially trying to use those to kind of motivate me to go to all these books that I've acquired over the years that I've always been like, I'll get to it. Or, I got really excited when I started getting back into reading again, and I went a little mad buying books, and, everything looked appealing, but now I have all these books and I'm like, I'm never going to read these. What am I doing? So I need to get through them, or at least try them. And if I don't like them, unhaul them, donate them to the library, sell them, whatever works. So that's my first one, is, just stick with my reading, keep up with reading, and then try to kind of keep my reading a little less, I don't want it to be pressure. I mean, the thing is, I don't read multiple books at a time. I don't do audiobooks. So when I read. I mean, like, I put everything aside. It's just, it's my quiet reading time. And so I try to, mostly that's at night, before bed. I'll try to read a little bit. Sometimes, if I have a little bit of quiet during the work day, some days I have more than others. There are times a year where it's a little quieter, and I can, during lunch I can read for a bit. And then there are days where, I'm working 6 or 7 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. And so obviously I'm not reading much on those times. But I don't, so as far as like pressure and stuff, I don't read to hit a number of books. When I hit 150 books for my Goodreads challenge, that was like a personal thing. Like, I'm not trying to keep up, to make sure I can make content. Like, I'm never going to do that. And I've said that from the beginning. Like, this is fun for me. Like, I like talking about books. If it ever becomes not fun, I'm not doing it. And so if reading ever becomes a chore or something I feel like forced to do, I'm just not going to do it. So, but, you know, for my personal thing, I just really enjoy reading, and I've just felt so much more, you know, I guess happier, you know, now that I got back into reading more actively. So I want to keep that up, and I want to, you know, keep reading and exploring new things, and, you know, stepping outside my comfort zone a bit with, you know, reading things that aren't normally my genres, and, you know, just really kind of exploring more stuff. So the second thing kind of goes along with what I was saying about it being fun and how I do this for myself. And I have a tendency to, you know, I don't like talking to people. I have severe social anxiety and severe PTSD, and I really struggle. Obviously, I don't show my face. Like, I have massive panic attacks. The idea of being like around more than like one or two people at a time. I'm very, very, like, this is very difficult for me. Even what I'm doing here, even like putting myself out here at this level is extremely hard for me. And so this is pretty much my comfort level, and this is like the edge of it. So I tried to engage because, you know, I was like, oh, book people are cool. And, you know, I've joined Discords, I've done, you know, different things. I've tried to talk to people on their videos. And in some ways it's been great. And I've connected with some people, and it's been really cool, and like had really good conversations, gotten to learn about different books. And in other ways it's been not, and it's been, kind of toxic in places. And so one of my, resolutions this year is to, step away from things that make me feel like bad. You know, not trying to change anyone's mind. People are what they are, and I don't, you know, I can't take it personally, and I need to just like walk away from it. So getting away from it, and then again, not taking it personally, not getting upset, not letting it bother me. There's a certain element, and I guess I naively thought it wasn't something that was present in the book world, because, you know, books are for nerds. And I just didn't see it coming. And I don't really know why, because I'm a writer. So I've seen it, you know, as a writer, I've seen it in the publishing world. I've seen it, you know, in the YA book world. I've seen it just in general. You know, there's some toxicity with like Goodreads, and like I don't use any of that for that reason. That's a lot of why I only do 5-star reviews on Goodreads. Like, I try not to get involved in a lot of that stuff. I know there's some self-publishing drama that comes and goes. The romance world seems kind of toxic in places. But I think there's always just, you know, the problem is if you put people on the internet, there's always going to be toxic people. But I guess like the thing for me that I wasn't really anticipating was the underlying like misogyny that is still super present. And it's super present because it's the internet and it's social media, and I get that, but like I just didn't think it was something that would be present on BookTube, because I was like, it's BookTube. I mean, like, people are book people are cool, and yes, book people are generally cool, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't spread. And so that's been especially really like difficult for me, is, you know, having conversations with people and talking about books. And, you know, on one hand, they're talking about how books are important, and, you know, reading makes you empathetic, and they love this book and they love that book. And then, you know, I say something and I get like ridiculed essentially for liking books that deal with like women's issues. And I'm not a romance person, so I'm not like up here like defending and, you know, going on about like, and I'm not even saying there's nothing wrong with those books, but I'm not like talking and trying to have conversations and like position like fun, cute beach reads as like high quality literary fiction or anything. I'm actually talking about, you know, books that like deal with like major social issues that affect women particularly, you know, especially like rape and violence against women and misogyny. And if you bring it up, it's like this, there's a certain subgroup that gets offended because they're like angry that women are angry about violence against women, and I just wasn't really anticipating it. So one of my resolutions for the year is to get myself, like, to put up that wall that I should have had to begin with, but I just didn't think I needed in this community, and to kind of just go, like, know when things are toxic and just kind of like brush it off and be done with it. And so I know that's horrible and that's kind of sad, and I'm trying to, like, I want to be positive because I like to be a positive person. As you can tell, like, I don't like to give bad reviews. I don't like to say bad things, but yeah, because of the fact that that's how I am, I expect other people to not be toxic and awful, and it really bothers me when they are. So I'm not going to let it bother me, because too bad. Let them just be toxic. So continuing on with the YouTube thing, I want to do, like, more structured things, whether it's, I think with the banned book, challenge, that's going to be kind of like a recurring thing that I'm going to do. And, obviously, like, we did a lot of tags, and then we started doing, like, Tuesday tags like everybody else, and so I think I'm going to try to figure out, if not a schedule, like, certain things that I talk about. Obviously, I do my TBRs and my reading recaps, and my TBR is changing, but, I want to really do, like, certain kind of things that are regular things, whether it's, a book review a week, or, just like my favorite book, or something I want to talk about, a topic or something, books that deal with certain things, maybe a top 10 list. I don't know, things that I want to at least do, if not weekly, monthly, so we have some kind of consistency. So that's just a thing. That's a shorter one. My fourth one is very simple, and it sounds funny, but I want to play more video games. I am years behind on my video games, and we don't have the new systems yet. And we don't really need the new systems because we haven't been playing. So I do want to get back, because I have a stack of video games that I really, really want to play. Like, these are not video games I, like, just casually thought might be fun. There's a lot that I, like, specifically asked for, specifically went out and bought, that I desperately want to get to, and I just don't have time because I play a lot of, like, long games. But I do want to try to make more time to play video games. So, it's tough because I like to read, I like to play video games, I like to watch movies, and, you can only have so much time, and you can only spread yourself across too many things. But I do want to try to make more of an effort this year to at least, like, pick, like, either whether a certain day a week, or a couple hours on a certain day, or, once a month, set aside a whole day, or something, some way to, like, catch up on a lot of games. Especially because in February, Persona 3 is getting re-released, and I really want to be ready for that. So the next one for me, so this is number 5. For a few years, I was doing a habit calendar, and it was really, really great. And a lot of my habits were really simple, like, drink enough water, or that was where I was doing, like, read 30 pages in fiction, read 30 pages nonfiction. And then by tracking it every day for the month, I could look and see, like, which habits became natural for me and which ones did I have to fight every day to do. And then should I keep pushing it, or should I try swapping that out for something else the next month? And so, and what I ended up doing throughout the course of the year is that I essentially, I think you get like 12 or 15 habits a month for the calendar. And so I would list them. And then, reading was one of my first ones. And then that became a habit for me. So by like 3 months in, that was no longer on my habit calendar because I didn't need to track it. It just had become a part of things I did. It was part of my day. And so that was really useful. And then again, when COVID hit, my whole life, I feel like, just turned into like a mess, like everybody's, we all just kind of were like, what do we do now? And so I really want to get back to that. So I've got my habit calendar, and I'm going to start coming up with my habits again. One of the things I had done, I started doing was learn something new every day. And even if that was watch a YouTube video or read an article on Wikipedia, or, just something quick, just like learn a little bit of something, a thing I didn't know anything about. And I just think that that's a good habit to have. And so, and then, again, like, walk more, like, eat something, eat a fruit, just things like that. So, that's my next one. And then going along with that's a really easy one. Well, it's not easy for me, but I need to eat more. I need to get more iron, because I'm severely anemic and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And there's really not a lot of solutions except either I stop being a vegetarian, which I've been a vegetarian my entire life, minus like a tiny bit of time, but pretty much my whole life, since I was, 10 or 11. And, I don't eat meat, and I do eat dairy. I tried the vegan thing for a while. It's just very hard. There's just not enough like vegan restaurants or anything around. And, I'm not much of a cook, I'll admit it. So I think especially because I am anemic, I think it is good because I probably should eat things like eggs and dairy, to, get some nutrients that I just can't get otherwise. But I really do need to. I take supplements, but I sometimes forget. And what ends up happening is like I'll feel okay for a while, and then all of a sudden I'll be exhausted, and my heart will be racing, and I'll just feel really, really sick, because I haven't been taking my iron for a while, and then I'm trying to like catch up, and it takes a couple weeks to get back in the habit. So I really need to just take my iron. So that's like a very small personal one that I just need to remember to take. And then I really want to, really build up my routine. I used to have a very structured daily routine. And then, again, during COVID, kind of fell apart. And then, and then I had a little bit of another one because my husband was working remote when I was remote, and I'm always remote. So, but my husband was remote. So we kind of built a new routine. And then he went back, he wasn't remote anymore, and it really messed things up, and I just haven't been able to kind of figure out my routine again. So, one of the things we've been doing over the last month or so is like getting the house kind of reorganized, and we're going to continue to do that. And so as we do that, I think it makes it easier to stick to my routine. But I want to make sure that, and I think that's one of the things with the habit calendar that helps too, is to kind of build habits and just build a natural routine. And so that kind of goes into a general thing, which is to just find more balance in my life. Like, I don't want to say work-life balance because it's not, I have a pretty good work-life balance in terms of the fact that, like, I work from home. I have a lot of flexibility in my work schedule. I can, like, very freely, within reason. I mean, I have deadlines. I have projects that have to get done. But I pretty much, within a certain amount of reason, can make my own hours. So like if I need a day off or if I need to like go in late and work late, I can do that. I can change my hours around pretty easily, with minimal notice. But as a whole, I think I just need more balance because I just find that like some days I just relax too much and all I'm doing is like reading and chilling, on the weekends or something. And then I'm trying to like work and clean and try to do something fun, all trying to do that in one day. And then I'm stressed. And so, I just need to find, and I think this is where like habits and my routine will help. But just as a whole, I think I need to get my life a little more in balance. So that's my next one. And then I want to minimize. And again, this is all coming into like this balancing and habits and routines. There's just too much crap in my house and like, I just need it out. And, it happens. We all do it. And like, we've lived here a while. I don't know, if we'll stay here at the end of this lease, or if we'll look for someplace else. But I always find that like after a few years, once you get into like the 5-year staying in a place, it starts to feel like things become a little like out of control where, then you move somewhere and, it's a fresh space and you start really, everything's great and everything's organized and, in its place. And then, it just kind of starts to spill into the wrong place and things get messy. And so, I think one of the easiest ways to do that is just get rid of a lot of crap. So that's kind of my goal, is to try to find a way to get rid of a lot of stuff this year. So whether that's through selling everything I have, even if I don't make money off of it, just getting it out of the house, or it's, donations, however, whether it's just like recycling, putting it up free, putting it out on the road, seeing if somebody wants it. I just need to start getting things out of my house. And that is where my reading challenges come in, because half of the stuff in my house feels like it's books. So I just need to get stuff out. And then the last one, and this kind of ties into the minimizing and balance, is I'm not a very materialistic person, but I just feel like somehow I've gotten in the mindset of the fact that capitalism is the way to go. And just over the last couple of years, obviously we've all been hit pretty hard by, inflation and just a lot of corporate greed, and you're seeing things happen in the job market, and it's just, I'm really I don't know. And it's also probably age. I hit that point in my life where I'm I just don't want to be a part of it anymore. And not that I can completely drop out of society and go off the grid completely. I mean, I'm trying to be realistic. But I do think, it might be time to kind of reassess how much I'm putting into the system that I just don't think is healthy for me, and healthy in general. And so, I have a lot of concerns just about wealth disparity in this country, and, just generally how everything has become sort of about profit and, profitability and bottom line, and not so much about people. And I'm not a fan. I've never really worked in a super money driven world. That's just not, right now. I mean, I do work for profit, but I've always tried to work in a role or in a company that our general mission is still to do good or to do something to help people. So even if it's not doing good in completely in a nonprofit way, it's at least doing something that I think is helping people. And so I just want to do more of that. I want to try to make things a little more socially conscious, just more kind of really rewarding companies that are good, and maybe not being so dependent on companies that are not. And unfortunately, that's kind of the nature of things, all those small companies get bought out by the big ones. But that's really just a personal thing for me, is I just think that there's been a lot of bad decisions over the last few years. On a personal level, I feel that I just don't want to be a part of. And I think that, again, I'm not trying to completely drop out of society, but I'm also trying to find a way to minimize my role in it. So those are my resolutions. And what about you? What are your New Year's resolutions? I'll let you know if Sir Chonk has any. That's a lot of resolutions. They're all kind of interconnected. I think, well, not all of them, but a lot of them are interconnected for me. So I think that it's about a general, like I said, a general balance and just a general overall improvement. But those are kind of how I'm breaking them down. And those are some of the steps I think to take to get to that place. So anyway, let me know what yours are. All right. And, here's to a really good 2024. I'm no longer saying things can't be worse than last year. People have been saying that for the last few years, and it just keeps getting some crazy things keep happening. So let's not say that, and let's just say, let's hope it's good. The end. All right. Bye.